The Green Bay Packers have won the Super Bowl.
The Packers' all-time leading scorer.
A game winner for Mason Crosby.
It's time for the Mason Crosby Show with Mitch Nelles, presented by Verizon, the #1 network in Milwaukee, on 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan. Powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook and on the free Odyssey app.
Good morning and welcome in. After a long weekend of merriment and rejoicement and America, we are back on the Mason Crosby Show. My name's Mitch Nelles, presented by Verizon, Milwaukee's #1 network. We've got Brewers to get to. We've got Bucks to get to. We've got the Major League Baseball All-Star Game. We've got the United States men's national team and all sorts of stories to share. And the greatest storyteller in the history of mankind joins us now, the one, the only, Mason Crosby.
You know, I don't like that kind of pressure. I'm retired now. I don't need that kind of pressure. But I don't know if you saw, and y'all didn't even make any comments. So did you see my post from the 4th of July?
No, I know that I texted you that I wanted pictures, and you shared none.
I did see it.
So you did a really great job with that.
I was pretty impressed. I did not realize what goes into it, but
the dedication.
You blow that stuff up, man. That was awesome.
We sat there for about 5 to 6 hours, and multiple, probably 4 or 5 resets of putting the little plastic faux back up there that we were battling against. And I mean, I probably shot 1,000 BBs through about 500 little firecrackers. So it was a good day. Felicity,
was
our
this
8-year-old,
Instagram, not on X?
It was on Instagram.
Okay, because I'm not a grammar.
So my brother did all this B-roll. He cut up this video from like the epic day. I had a nice handlebar mustache, just in honor of the festivities.
Yes, sir.
Rocking that tank top. So we had a fun time. But
sun's out, guns out.
Yeah, even with all that, obviously it was raining down there, and we were in Texas, so just have to give our thoughts and prayers out to all of those affected by these floods. Just this tragedy. 82 or
yeah, you're still there. Nope, I can hear you. Mason lost us.
Oh, lost you. Something hit my deal. Yeah, 82 people or so as of right now confirmed dead. It's just awful, and it's just so rare there. I don't know if I've had a 4th of July that I can remember with that much rain and the flooding like that. It just felt like the storm just kept circulating over and over again on top of us. So just thinking about them and hoping and praying for those that are still missing that some miracle might happen. But
sure.
Yeah, in spite of all that, just being able to be with family and celebrate the 4th, it was a nice time to be with everybody and do that. I hope everybody had a safe, good weekend. I said that, and it's just awful how unsafe it ended up being there in Texas. But
right, and it's again, when we think of wishing people safety over the 4th of July, we typically think of be safe with your fireworks.
Yeah, exactly.
Be safe with your alcohol consumption.
Don't overconsume.
Those sorts of things. We don't often think of natural disasters are going to play a part of it. And it's I couldn't get, I was on CNN every 10 minutes all weekend long, on my
For
phone,
sure.
just watching, looking for updates, praying for good news, and obviously not having a lot of it. But just watching some of the videos of the way that the river rose so quickly, and cars going by, and then houses going by
in 45 minutes.
Right.
And my parents have a little creek that runs behind their house. It's usually maybe a couple feet deep. Just kind of sometimes dries out in the summer because it's so hot and so dry. And yesterday I had a little video, or whenever I was there, when it rose up. I mean, it probably rose 15 or 20 feet.
Yeah.
Just in that time frame. And this is just a little small creek. So
now you're about 3 hours away from that. Is that right? where
New
Georgetown
Braunfels,
is?
Guadalupe. No, that's about an hour.
Oh, is it?
and-
Okay.
Yeah, an hour and 20 minutes or so. Like some of those areas affected.
Yep.
And that Camp Mystic, just so tough. And again, Nolan was at camp, and our kids have been going to camp, and you just start kind of just get down and pray and just think about it, and just like, man, all right, just hope that they can save and get as many of those kids safe as possible, but just support and pray for those families and help those families. The cool part, and something that we have to always talk about too on the 4th of July, and what we were doing there is the heroes, the first responders, the people that in this horrible natural disaster, this tragedy that's happened, the people that buckle up and they go straight into that mess.
Yes.
And I saw people loading up their Polarises, their anything they could on their trailers, just normal people, and they were going towards the disaster just to offer a vehicle, offer something for first responders if they needed it, and that kind of stuff just really speaks to the American and the human spirit when things like this happen as well.
Well, and then I think we also saw the story of the dad who got his kids and his mom out, but as he was doing it, he cut the artery in his arm, and he literally he passed away within seconds because of blood loss. But his mom was kind of holding him through the window, and when he took his last breaths, and it's he made sure he got his kids and his mom to safety. And it's everyday heroes like that, where we can't even. I mean, I think we all like to think that faced with something like this, we're going to run toward the danger, right? There are people, and you never know until you're in it. Is it flight or fight or freeze? And it's and we're hearing just stories and stories of so many people just stepping up and running into it and risking their lives when they were safe, but they know other people weren't. And
moments of reflection like that, for sure. They're it'll help you grow, and it'll help you think about others and what you would do in a situation like that. So horrible tragedy. Don't let it be for nothing, and make sure that we're praying and thinking of those people, and reflecting in our lives, how would we respond.
So and then we have the world of sports, which is for us it's
we're diving in.
Right, we're diving in. It's the distraction, but it's also a focus of ours. And we talk about the heroism of everyman life, and then we have a guy who hasn't pitched in 680 days in Major League Baseball, and it's listen, we all know it's not the same kind of heroism coming back from an injury, but there is an element in the world of sports.
Everyone has their own battles, right?
Right,
yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
And so then we get this yesterday.
Catching Woodruff for the first time ever. 1-2 pitch. Struck him out. Welcome back, Big Woo.
And just what a performance for Big Woo, for Brandon Woodruff, for Woody on the mound. 6 innings, 70 pitches, 8 strikeouts, no walks, 2 hits. I like, again, we talked about it a couple weeks ago with sometimes pitchers get better and you get well against lesser teams.
For sure.
It's good that he got the start. He got to start. They could have pushed him back a couple days and pitched against the Dodgers. But it's I think it made sense for him to pitch against the Marlins.
Yeah.
Play.
It was the right move.
Exactly. And kudos to Mr. Woodruff for just going out there and firing BBs and just getting it done.
Firing BBs, I like that. He did not. They didn't really ease him into it, which was good either. I mean, he goes 6 innings. Had a good solid day. And it was kind of a weird series down there in Miami as well. Getting that loss on Saturday, and then just to be able to come back, bounce back. Bats weren't real hot. It's not like they were just lighting up the scoreboard. But so you needed some solid pitching. So I think it was a good test for someone like Woodruff coming back, being out for so long, and to be able to just kind of go out there, get that win, feel good, get that. Now it's all right. How is his recovery going to be? Right. Yeah, it's all right. He little stressor, pitched 6 innings, 70 pitches, not a crazy amount, but it's all right. Now he's in that rhythm, and I really am going to be looking at this next game. Whenever he comes into this next start, what does he look like? Is there rust? Is he a little fatigued? what did that recovery process look like coming out of this first effort? So, awesome for him. Awesome to see that. 8 strikeouts, great outing. Just a solid way to get back into it.
Well, and on the flip side of that, as we'll watch how this develops, Chad Patrick tied for the team lead in games started with Freddie Peralta with 18. Second on the team in innings pitched with 94 and 2/3, just behind Freddie's 99. A 3-7 record, not great, but a 3.52 ERA, a 1.3 WHIP, which is fine, not great, but it's okay. He is the one who gets sent down because he's the one who still has options.
Yeah,
and he's done everything and way more than you could have asked for him in the first half of the season to keep his team in games,
for sure,
to step up when they needed him, and you say thank you, and then you send him down, and now we all wonder, like, is he down? Is he down for good? Is he next man up when somebody else gets hurt? Like, how does this all work, and how do you keep that mentality? Like when you've clearly shown you can hang in Major League Baseball, but now you're sent down because it's a numbers game.
I think you kind of just said, though, like the exact same thing, like the mentality. He's already shown that, right? Because he's, it's not like we said the bats have not been hot. Like he's not getting run support whenever he's been on the mound at times. So he's just been kind of out there grinding, just keeping his head down, pitching his pitches, doing his thing. So he seems like a guy that has a really good head on his shoulder.
Yeah.
So something like this, like he knows something is going to happen, and if he can stay ready, stay fresh, go light it up, in the minor leagues, then he'll be the next guy called up whenever somebody gets a little ailment, something happens. Like he's going to move up back into the major leagues here at some point this season, just because that's the nature of the beast, right? So, yeah, it's unfortunate. Like he is that option. He's the guy that had the option to still go down to the minor league. So It was inevitable. I mean, we all knew it as soon as Woodruff came back that Chad Patrick was going to get moved down. But he, again, like baseball starting pitcher, that's such a hard deal, right? Because it's like he goes 5 innings, maybe doesn't even give up a run, and then loses the game. Like if they end up kind of the bullpen doesn't take care of it, their bats aren't hot, all of those things. If the Brewers don't get to 4 runs, as this season has shown, they cannot win a game. So are they like? If they get to 4 runs, they can't lose a game. But if they don't get to 4, it's just kind of a toss up. So he'll be fine. I think he seems to be that type of player, that type of person. Pitchers are those types of guys. I would say, as far as baseball players goes, they're probably as close to kickers as anything, where they have to be patient. You have to have a good mindset. You can't get too high or too low in any moment, because you have time where you're sitting, you're watching a lot. You have to just go and dive deep inside of like all of your process, the way that you do things, and not worry about all the outside surroundings. And my hope for Chad Patrick is that's what he does. He lights it up in the minor leagues, and when he gets called back up, he comes and continues to do his thing. And
then I think it's always fun to hear from this guy.
And a drive into left field. That'll get a run in. Plenty. It is up, and it is going to be gone. Jackson Chourio goes deep. His 15th. It's 2-0.
Nice.
Yeah, and I think it's just like, Chourio's a guy who came into the season with a ton of expectations and maybe hasn't quite lived up to them. As like, oh, he's going to be the next superstar. He homered twice in a playoff game last year. He was unbelievable as a rookie. And it's nice sometimes to get that reminder that, he's still really good.
Yeah, he's still pretty good. Yeah, he's still doing his thing. Obviously had a good outing yesterday. What is he at? He's at about 260. Is that what his season average is?
His average is okay.
But
his slugging is okay. Like,
how's he playing? I mean, he's playing pretty good defense too, as well.
It's gotten better. Tommy, you remember this? We complained a lot about his center field play. I feel like in May. Like, I feel like he was just making a number of mistakes. I feel like we haven't had as many mistakes recently.
Yeah, he's definitely warmed up to it, and it sounds like that's going to be the plan this whole year on top of that, because Garrett Mitchell.
Well, Mitchell out for the year.
He's going to be out for the year now. He just had another shoulder surgery. Blake Perkins just had to get removed from his last minor league rehab stint, too. It's going to be Jackson Chourio in center field most of this season. Vinny Rottino had a pretty good line on the broadcast the other day, though. And this is what I love so much about Jackson Chourio is you hear it like on to the next one kind of thing, but Jackson Chourio is always one at-bat away from just starting a hot streak. And that is something that,
sure.
I mean, he's still the youngest player in Major League Baseball. This is the second straight year now that he is the youngest player in the MLB, and he had a great series in Miami. He goes yard yesterday, had the 3-hit performance the day before,
right.
And he's also been the guy that's been asked to be the most versatile on this team. You're talking about a guy who, the first game of the year, he was batting leadoff. Then he moved down to the number 2 spot. Now he's down in the 4 spot. He was
I was
playing.
going to ask about that, like him going in that 4 spot and cleanup. Like, what's the thought process there? Do you think?
I have zero idea what goes through Pat Murphy's head when he makes a lineup,
and
because
part
I
of
would
is,
do
is
it.
Hoskins getting hurt.
Yeah, I mean,
right.
He was there
Okay,
before
so
that.
He was.
He was there before that. I just think that he always is looking for something to be shaken up in the lineup. He's always looking for a different test for people. And the person he trusts the most to be adaptable right now on this team, it's Jackson Chourio. And he's the youngest player. It doesn't matter that he's the guy that has to be the one who has to move around and adapt to what happens in the new foundings for the Milwaukee Brewers.
He's young. He can move all around. We can do whatever we want.
He's going to be on this team for a decade, right? And everyone's excited for that. No idea what he's going to be doing as his role, if he's going to be a leadoff hitter, if he's going to be a 3-4 guy. Pat Murphy's just trying all the experiments he can with Jackson Chourio.
Might as well. You keep winning games. You go down to Florida and figure out a way to, it's like you should win that. You should win that series, get at least 2. So might as well move guys around. I don't mind it. I like kind of dabbling with a batting order and just kind of seeing where they fit in. Something I don't like is that Yelich broke that streak, because he is 17 of the last 18 games he has a hit in.
Yeah.
And he broke that streak because he's gone on another 5-game hit streak.
As opposed to Terang, who breaks a streak and then has 3
it's
hitless games in a row.
Just going the other way. But
Great
Yelich,
great bunt yesterday, though. Terang had a great bunt hit to get out of that slump yesterday, but
and now
great bunt hit. Yeah.
And now
he laid one down for it.
Sometimes
that's
all it takes.
That's all it takes.
Now we're at another measuring stick series, right? This is the Dodgers coming to town. You have Mizorowski going in this series, and there is a lot of pressure on the Brewers to at least stay afloat during the series against LA coming up here. I think that the Brewers, if they can find a way to win a couple of games in this series against the Dodgers, it would really change the tone of the season, because this last week, they struggled at times on the offensive side, which we hadn't seen previously before they went out to New York. They were on their hottest stretch of the entire season, it felt like, and now the test only gets harder because LA is coming to town.
Right. Yeah.
But we got the matchup we wanted.
We do.
Miz versus Kershaw.
Yeah. But we don't want to jump. We don't want to jump ahead of tonight. We've got Drew Wagner coming in at 10 o'clock.
Yep.
He's going to talk to us about that as well. Currently, the Brewers sit 4 games behind the Cubs. They are firmly in second place of the wild card. Remember, 3 teams make the wild card. The Mets are in first place. Brewers a game and a half behind the Mets. Brewers a game and a half ahead of the Padres and the Giants.
Nice.
So they'd have whatever, I don't know, they don't do a tiebreaker game anymore. They do.
No more game 163.
Which I kind of think, I miss that. I loved that one extra game.
You love those playing games.
Gosh, they should make NFL players play one extra game if they're tied too.
Yeah. It's a little playing. You know what? When you play 17 games, it's a lot more likely
the day
your record's
before
tied.
the playoffs start. They should do it. Yes, you have to play
double header.
Back to back, double
header. They should make
header.
you play wherever
Friday,
you're.
Saturday.
Yeah, no. If you let's say the Packers and the Niners finish tied for 7th, and the Lions are the 1 seed, they should play a noon game, Packers-Lions in Detroit, and then at 7:30, the winner should have to play the Lions.
It's like the old school UFC tournaments.
Let's
like
go,
you just got to
let's
fight,
go.
and then right after your fight, you're fighting again.
But you just do it like college overtime rules, and that way it's like it's just like a
2-point
7-on-7 or
my
something
God.
like a quick game where it's just like, all right, we're almost just warming up for the evening game, but it's like, all right, we're deciding who gets to play in this game. I love that. Let's do it.
That is great.
Field goal competition, whatever.
No, I'm looking at Shams has a Shams bomb today just now. It doesn't affect the Bucs at all, but Norman Powell, who I don't think made the All-Star team this year, but probably should have, had a great season for the Clippers. The Clippers, the Jazz, and the Heat. John Collins, former Hawk, goes to the Clippers. Kevin Love, I can't believe Kevin Love. Kevin Love has got to be. I want to see.
He's still playing?
Right. I
Man.
feel like he's older than you, Mason.
He's the same age as Westbrook, right? They went to college
he's
together.
37, I think.
Yeah.
36, 37. So, a kind of a major trade. As we're all waiting for, the Bucs signed Ryan Rollins, and we'll get to that later in the show. But we're still waiting for, another shoe to drop for the Bucs.
Our friend Camille, said she hoped they would get the deal done with Rollins just to at least have security there, so they could go chase something else.
Yep. So they got that done. Again, Drew Wagner will join us at 10 o'clock, as he does every Monday and Thursday. The Nicolay Law Fan Talking text line, 414-677-1250. Your thoughts on Woodruff? Are you all in? Are you excited about it? Are you a little nervous? I don't think you're nervous, but I think you voiced the concern that a lot of Brewers fans have, that it's great that he had this, and this is kind of what some national people said too. It's great that he had this first outing, but now if he's going to be pitching every fifth day, that's a wear and tear on his body that he didn't really deal with on his rehab assignment. Yeah. And how does his body react to that?
Yeah. Do you think he can sustain success, through the rest of the season? Which I think they held him, as long as they could. I feel like it's if you're at a point, it's hard to say, especially with probably competitive stuff. It's your guy's healthy. You have to do something with him, right? I know in the NFL, it's you can't hide people out and say they're injured if they're not really, hurt. So I think they kind of got to that point, and so we're going to see. And I think this next game will be really telling, and you'll be able to kind of see where his arm's at, where his body's at, and how he comes out of this 5-day rotation, and where this next start is.
That being said, I mean, you couldn't have drew up a better comeback start for Brandon Woodruff.
Exactly. Right. No, it was exactly as it should have been. Yeah, I think the fact that it was on the same mound that he last pitched on,
that was weird.
Was part of because I remember they ended the season in Florida, and then he was supposed to play in the playoffs against Atlanta, and we found out the day before that something's wrong with his elbow, and and we'd had such high hopes that he was going to be the savior in the playoffs 2 years ago.
He didn't look like he missed a beat. I mean,
he looked great.
He didn't miss a spot until the fifth inning.
And what's great about him is he doesn't need to throw 98, 99 to be special. He can throw 94, 95.
He's got everything. Yeah.
And so I think that's going to actually help him.
But as a player, that's what better thing? You come back, the last place that you pitch, you want to just kind of flush that demon really fast. So, if anything, maybe, psychologically, it's this is a perfect spot to get him back on the mound. Let's get him his start. He can kind of flush and forget, and all right, now he's going to go play 5 days from now, and it'll be all right, that never happened. Let's just keep this thing rolling.
I love it. Again, Drew Wagner at 10 o'clock. The Nicolay Law Fan Talking text line. Your thoughts on Woodruff's season debut for the Brewers, 414-677-1250. A reminder, we are now live on YouTube at The Fan Milwaukee. You have to use the @ at The Fan Milwaukee. It's currently 67 degrees and fair in Hales Corners. High of 76 today. It'll be sunny all day long. It's just going to be absolutely beautiful. A little cooler than we've had the past week when it was hitting high 80s. But the sun's out. And so get outside. Do whatever it is you need to do. You mowing the lawn this afternoon after work or whatever. You go do that today.
Sun's out, guns out. Let's go.
Exactly. He's Mason Crosby. I'm Mitch Nelles. Tommy Orch is here as well. The Mason Crosby Show is presented by Verizon, the #1 network in Milwaukee. We're live from the 1250 AM and 105.7 FM. The Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. The Brewers only got one All-Star. We'll talk about that next on the Mason Crosby Show.
Boo.
It's the Mason Crosby Show presented by Verizon, the #1 network in Milwaukee. Oh, where was I over the weekend, Mason? Where I was wearing a I was at where did I have that drink? I was wearing my Verizon hat. You know, like the trucker's cap, and I had my new Verizon Stanley. And I was just
you're
like,
branded up.
I was telling everybody I was presented by Verizon. I got my Verizon phone. I'm ready to go, baby.
Kept asking people, "Can you hear me now?"
Exactly.
The entire time.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly. They should. That was a great ad campaign. Can you hear me now?
That was a good one.
Yeah,
that was a good one.
That one always worked out. He's Mason Crosby. I'm Mitch Nelles. Tommy Orts is here as well. Like I said, we're presented by Verizon, and we're live on YouTube. And if you're on the YouTube channel at The Fan Milwaukee, you can also throw in comments there and interact with us. You can talk and text. Nicolay Law Fan talk and text lines 414-677-1250. And so you can text into that line your thoughts on Brandon Woodruff, your thoughts on Brewers, Dodgers coming up. but you can also do it on the YouTube channel itself as you're watching that at The Fan Milwaukee. No surprise, Mr. Mason Crosby, that Freddie Peralta is an all-star. Well
No
deserved,
surprise there.
right?
Yeah.
Tied for the league lead in wins, I believe. He's ranked high in ERA. He's ranked high in strikeouts. He's just you've been able to count on him every fifth day this year. Freddie's gone out there and kept you in games, and sometimes dominated, and sometimes just kept him in games. But he's been everything you'd want from an ace to this point.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's no surprise. I think the big surprises are just like, should we have had more, or at least in consideration on this Brewers team? Who do you think missed out or should have been on this roster? That's kind of my biggest question because, Peralta's not a surprise. Some of the guys I know, I was reading all that because honestly, I couldn't find. What's funny is I couldn't find much on the actual roster.
Right.
It was like
right,
they released
same.
the roster and then they're just like biggest snubs and other takeaways.
Yeah, same.
And I'm just
yep.
where is the roster? Like, I need to actually, evaluate who made this team. The fact that Soto didn't make it, that's crazy.
That seems to be the biggest one, and I think a lot of that goes to, well, he signed a $765 million contract.
Yeah.
He should be the best player in baseball, and if he's not, we're going to snub him, which seems kind of that doesn't sound right.
I hate that thinking. Yeah, and who votes on the MLB stuff? Is it just writers? Is it like
the players are the position players are fan vote.
Yeah,
and then the pitchers are appointed through coaches, right, Mitch?
Yeah, I think there's a percentage that's even for the starters are fan vote, but then the reserves are like partly fan vote, partly players, partly coaches.
Like
It's like
organizational.
percentage, whatever it is.
I'm not necessarily surprised that a position player doesn't make it from the Milwaukee Brewers, just comparing him to the rest of the MLB.
Yeah, they're a good team, but not necessarily like just somebody standing out this year.
If I'm Abner Uribe, I am super disappointed that I was not an all-star this year. That is the name that jumps off the page to me as who should have been an all-star.
I mean, he's been unbelievable, but I feel like there were less relievers than usual. This year.
Reliever is such a closer thing in baseball. They just totally avoid anyone who's not a closer on the relief pitching side. But you're talking about 43 games this season already. He's come in, has a 2.09 ERA, 43 innings of work, and 58 strikeouts. Like, he's a strikeout guy. He's got electric stuff. He can throw 101 like we saw yesterday. I was pretty surprised that Abner Uribe doesn't get a nod, and that was probably the biggest snub, I thought, for the Milwaukee Brewers in the All-Star game.
Well, that's it, yeah. So I'm looking at that list, and it's okay. So you see what teams have multiple pitchers. So you have the Giants have Robbie Ray and Randy Rodriguez.
Yep.
You have actually, they have three pitchers.
And Logan Webb.
Logan Webb. I mean, I get that.
The Giants have overperformed, but still, like three?
They're good, but it's like three. Come on now. Like, and then, Dodgers have two. I know Kershaw is almost more like a legacy pick.
Honorary legacy,
Which is fine. I mean, I'm good with that. Like, that guy's a stud. So,
well, we already know.
But Giants having three is kind of weird. I feel like, I know they have the rule where you have to have at least one player from every team.
Well, and that's one of the reasons. That's one of the reasons. Like, I think Hunter Goodman probably deserved to make it as a catcher, but I think that is one of somebody. Contreras could have had an argument against Goodman.
That's a good point.
I don't know if it's a great argument, but I think especially with his defense.
Yeah, he kind of stinks this year, Mitch. I think. In my opinion, I like him
he throws guys out left and right.
He does. As far as defensively, sure.
When you're looking at the whole package, and so
he's playing with one hand.
I know.
Do you think here's a question I have, and do you think Wisconsin sports, like sports teams, professional teams, traditionally underperform in the All-Star world as far as getting voted in and having people represented?
Absolutely.
I mean, there were Packers teams I was on where I'm like, what? We had three guys get voted to the Pro Bowl. I mean, we were the best team in football. Like, how in the world is it like our team only
Other
getting
teams
3
have
guys?
6 guys, and we have 3. It doesn't make any sense.
I mean, you're getting the teams that we beat, or like the teams that just are in a bigger market or whatever, and they're getting 6, 7 guys, and it just doesn't make any sense to me. So I don't know if that system, how it would change or what that looks like, but it just feels like sometimes. And I don't want to throw any shade at fans, but I remember sometimes in Green Bay, I'm like, man, like, are our fans like voting for our just our players in general? Just go on that site and just, even if you don't feel like they are deserving, I do think our like fans in Wisconsin are very discerning. Like they like really view it very closely. So it's not just like, oh, I'm a fan, I enjoy watching this, I'm going to vote for all my guys. They're
No,
like,
but we do rally.
This guy is performing, and we're going to like lean in. But so I'm worried it's like over. It's heavy on one thing and not always just a blanket vote.
But I will say Wisconsin does have a long history of rallying when there's a cause to be rallied for.
Oh, for sure.
I don't know if baseball still does this, Tommy, but for years, baseball would have, they'd put their rosters together, it'd have all the players, and then they'd have like a group of 5 guys, 5 in the American League, 5 in the National League, and they'd do like a special fan vote, and one of them would get in.
That's cool.
Whenever there was a Brewer, the Brewer got in. Because Wisconsin fans are crazy when they have like something.
The call to action.
Yes, when there's a specific
call to action.
Exactly. That's a great way.
I don't think they do anything like that now. At least I'm not familiar with it.
I don't think they do.
If they still do.
I remember Corey Hart got in that year.
Call to action.
JJ Hardy got in one year that way. I'm sure there's a pitcher who did.
I agree with you, Mitch, because that's what Aaron had to have known and seen from the fan base. It's like whenever he's like, fill the stands, we need y'all. And when I'm saying that about like get to Lambeau and like fight everybody, don't let the opposing team in. Wisconsin fans are great at calls to action. Yeah. You call them to action, say like, take us there. They're gonna step up and just dominate.
Did you think Trevor McGill had a chance, Mitch, as well? I mean, that is a closer. He's second in the NL in saves. Saves are kind of a meh stat, really.
It is, but that is a stat that people look at. Like if you don't know around the league who's a great closer, I think saves is an easy one to look at. So. Suarez from San Diego leads the league with 25. Then McGill's at 20. Pagan from Cincinnati at 19. Scott at 18. I think McGill's right on the edge. Mm-hmm. And so, I feel like he's probably one of the first guys out. It'll be interesting to see. I know Chris Sale is injured, so there's at least one pitcher spot up for grabs in the National League. I don't know if there are other injuries, but Chris Sale got voted
there
in.
Always is, yeah.
Yeah, and he's definitely not going to pitch. I think some other starters. I mean, there's no way all 3 Giants are going to end up pitching because somebody will pitch the day before, like that Friday before or that Sunday before the All-Star game. So won't
exactly.
Won't
That's
have
why
the rest.
I don't understand.
Yeah. Well, I think they're giving them the honor, but then they can name somebody else to the All-Star game.
They can name someone else.
When you look at ERA for a closer, 2.5 is good, not great. There are a couple of guys with Edwin Diaz, who clearly deserves it as well, has a 1.8 ERA versus McGill's 2.5. But I think McGill absolutely should have been in that conversation. And I think that's one of the things, again, that I think really hurt Abner Uribe this year is in past years, you might have seen 5 or 6 relievers where it's like 4 or 5 closers and then maybe one middle guy. And Uribe would have been in that mix. They had 3 relievers on this team. For some reason, they went heavy with starters. I don't really know why. It doesn't really make sense.
Yeah, well, I mean, they get the innings, they get the looks. I mean, I think that's just sometimes probably the nature of the beast. And like you said, some of these guys aren't going to pitch or be available, so they'll probably fill in with some of the reliever bullpen type guys.
414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. Do you think anyone specifically on the Brewers got snubbed as Freddie Peralta is the only Milwaukee Brewer on the team? Hit us up on the Nicolay Law Fan Talk and Text line. Text in your answer. I did want to know I had a couple questions to Tommy on this. One, I don't think Bryce Terang deserved it. But when you factor in defense, kind of like I did for Contreras, it makes Terang a lot more palatable. I don't think he deserved it, but I think he was closer than maybe a lot of people nationally think because of how good his defense is.
Yeah, I think he kind of struggled at the end here, too.
Yeah.
He had a good stretch. Obviously, he was in the middle of the 14-game hit streak, but he had another slow bit right before that, too. I think if he would have been around that 300 mark and he keeps playing the defense that he was playing, then maybe you would consider it for Bryce Terang. But I understand why he didn't make it, too, as far as he isn't – you can't tell when I think of All-Star, I think of first half stories, right? I think he can tell the first half story of the Major League Baseball season without involving Bryce Terang, quite frankly.
Yeah.
No, I agree. Like, we wanted to get him to 20. I think if he gets to 20 in a row and you get that tattoo, like that recognition would have just
That's a good point.
taken him over the top, but that didn't happen. So, Bryce, get to 20 and you'll be an All-Star next year.
And then
that's the story right there.
Simple.
That's true. My other question is, obviously you can't debate Shohei Ohtani and Kyle Schwarber, who has 27 home runs. I do wonder, and I assume on the ballot Christian Yelich was listed as an outfielder, and I assume they have a DH slot on the ballot. I do wonder moving forward if Yelich has a better chance to make the All-Star game as a DH, because, again, Yelich does have name recognition. Like, nobody around the country knows who Bryce Terang is. A lot of people don't know most people don't know who Sal Frelick is. Everybody around the country knows who Christian Yelich is. He's a former MVP. He's been great. And so sometimes, especially casual fans, they're going to vote for the player on their team, but they might just vote for, a name they recognize. Obviously, everybody's voting for Shohei as DH, but I do wonder if Yelich could get in that mix if he's listed as a DH moving forward as opposed to an outfielder.
He was a DH.
He was a DH
on the ballot, and
Okay.
I do think
And
that
where did he
hurts
finish?
him. I don't have the voting in front of me, but I don't think that helps him because of Shohei Ohtani, and I think
that's
that
fair.
baseball
The series going up against.
Baseball will never not let Shohei Ohtani play in the All-Star game, maybe ever again. You want to talk about invites, that they'll give him an invite every year.
He shouldn't take a spot away from somebody else, though. They should just have Shohei and Judge should just permanently, as long as they're playing.
Yeah.
Right, they should just be the captains.
Well, Mason, imagine it, Adam Vinatieri's making the Pro Bowl every year, right? I mean, that takes away the AFC kicker spot no matter what because it's Adam Vinatieri. Am I wrong?
It was Vinatieri, and then it was Tucker.
Right.
Yeah, whenever Tucker was rolling, it was just pretty much a guarantee.
What if
as
somebody
long
else
as
is
he
having a great
didn't-
year? That's not fair. That sucks.
Yeah, I mean, I guess
You
life
can
isn't
talk
fair.
you
I
can
guess
talk about it.
Sports aren't fair.
Sports
I
are
don't
dumb.
know.
I hate sports.
Sports are not fair. That is a fact. They are not fair. You have to take what you want, and you go out there and you just try to dominate. Something that I found interesting was Alonso. Peter Alonso, not hitting doing the home run derby, and I thought it was
okay.
His comment was interesting, and I actually kind of liked it. I decided not to do it this year. I have never really fully enjoyed the 3 off days, so I just want to be in the best possible position to help this team win in the second half. I'm in a groove with certain things. I definitely will do it again. It doesn't mean no forever, but so he doesn't want to do the home run derby because he's hitting the ball well, he's playing well, and he doesn't want to mess that up.
I mean, Mason,
I totally get that.
If you, I don't know how much attention you were paying to Brewers baseball in the early 2010s, but I mean, Ricky Weeks was literally never the same player after playing in a home run derby.
True.
I mean, he was so good.
Never.
And then after that, he breaks his ankle also later on in that season. But I'm convinced that the home run derby just totally ruined Ricky Weeks.
I love that. I mean, I'm all for it, and I think maybe that's something we look at, and it's he's taking Alonso's taking it off and not playing and not doing the home run derby. Because he doesn't want to take 3 days off, mess up his swing, do all of that. So it's maybe not having any Brewers out there is going to be a benefit for our team.
Christian Yelich might do it.
Christian Yelich might do it.
I wouldn't be surprised if we find out Christian Yelich.
That's pretty much his
Schwarber,
swing, anyways. I mean, he's just trying to hit homers all the time, anyways.
Kyle Schwarber also said that he will not be a part of it. The thing I'm disappointed about in this news article, though, Mason, and Tommy, I know you'll get really fired up about this, is they say 2-time champion Pete Alonso. He won in 2019 and 2021. Doesn't even mention that he won the home run derby when he was a member of the Madison Mallards in the Northwoods League.
Yeah,
come on, Madison Mallards. Let's go, Pete Alonso.
Yeah, Pete Alonso, his swing is made for home run derbies, and he is electric whenever he's in them, so it's totally great. And the home run derby is probably the best all-star festivity in sports.
For sure.
Yeah, I mean, as far as Big Four sports go, it's amazing. But
But I will say, it's just like NBA. It's just like NFL stuff. Like these guys are just like, do I want to go out there, crank, do all this, get kind of worn out, maybe mess up something with my swing, and it's they get paid and they get compensated. It's like an honor to do it, but like you're kind of just this. This show, like this, this show that they're putting on. So it's like, that kind of stuff might just be, better for the younger players, the up and coming guys with the big bats.
I also miss when the All-Star game mattered, and maybe I can see Mitch just hating this take on.
If you're going to talk about home field advantage, it didn't matter.
I absolutely
that did not make the All-Star game matter.
I did like that,
right? But it didn't make the All-Star game matter.
I disagree.
No one cared.
It gave it a point though.
No,
it did give it a point.
Okay, but no one cared.
I disagree.
The players
I think the
did
game
not care at all.
Tommy cared.
First of all, when Prince Fielder was hitting the home run, I liked it a lot. When Prince Fielder was the All-Star Game MVP, the game still mattered, and that was, I believe, the 2011 season when the Brewers were also right next to who'd they lose to?
They lost to the Cardinals.
The Cardinals in the championship game. Yeah. I think it's nice to have some sort of stakes in there, and I do think that
I'm fine with some sort of stakes. I think home field advantage is the stupidest thing I've ever heard
I just don't know how else.
You earned that. A 99 win team losing home field to an 87 win wild card team because somebody on a 54 win team hit a home run in the 8th inning. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard of.
I love it. How else do you make it matter though? Like there's no. It's either extreme one way or it doesn't matter at all, right? That's the only two ways you can make it happen.
How about you just resurrect the dead body of Pete Rose, make him play every year, and just kill people in the All-Star game?
You also want to bring back the 163rd play-in game.
Of course I do, because that mattered.
Oh,
that mattered. That actual was real, where the two teams who were tied for first played for the spot. Not a team that finished 14th had an impact on what's going to happen in the World Series.
I want All-Star games to matter again, and baseball did the best job. Baseball did the best job of that in years past, and now it doesn't matter anymore, and they've seen the tank in that. So I would love it to be the home field advantage.
Can we
write
this? Can we write this in other topics? Can we add that? Let's get
should All-Star games matter?
Yeah, let's get into
I think they should
wanna...
also during the All-Star break, the worst two teams in the league should have to play 14 games during that
just
break.
Like doubleheaders every day.
I
love that. I love that.
White Sox Rockies just battle it out for like 3 straight days.
Whoever wins the series can take the number 1 pick.
There you go.
Make it matter, right? Now it's a lottery. They'll never do that again. But
make it matter.
I don't know what just happened. He's Mason Crosby. He's Tommy Wirtz. I'm Mitch Nelles. We are the Mason Crosby Show, presented by Verizon, the #1 network in Milwaukee. We're going to touch on some Milwaukee Bucks talk and Ryan Rollins when we come back. Remember, Drew Wagner will join the show at 10 o'clock. We'll get back into Brewers talk with him. Listen to The Fan for your chance to win a pair of tickets to see the one and only Adam Sandler and his You're My Best Friend tour, live Sunday, October 5th at Fiserv Forum. Visit thefanmilwaukee.com for your chance to register to win a pair of tickets. That's thefanmilwaukee.com. Mason, you know what I love about Tommy?
I mean, there's too many things to list.
I mean, so many things. I love that he knows that I'm not going to know any of the songs he plays, especially on Country Monday, but he knows I'm still going to like them.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he still picks out good songs that I'm going to like because he is a music magician.
Do you know that this is not Morgan Wallen? Doesn't it sound exactly like Morgan Wallen's song?
No, because Morgan Wallen, I would have just muted you immediately.
Yeah.
Tucker Westmore. Or Wetmore.
Yeah.
Tucker Wetmore is great.
Is it wrong that I'm anti Morgan Wallen? Like, I don't want to get into either politics or racism or cop hating. But I feel like you throw a chair from the 6th story at cops in Nashville, and you're still the most celebrated country star in America.
Morgan Wallen
I
has
thought we
come
loved our
back from more
cops.
canceling than anyone in history.
Right.
Yeah, he's been
how?
He's done some things. Yeah, being
racist is not okay.
His new album,
Hating cops is not
every
okay.
song sounds exactly the same.
Right.
And I'm glad you brought that up because, so sorry, this is the Mason Crosby Show, and we're presented by Verizon, and we're on 1250 AM and 105.7 FM. The Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook.
Yes.
Yeah, I was going to bring this up whenever I saw the Madison show on just a replay. The lamest thing that I've ever seen was whenever he is lighting the bad press on fire, and he's doing seemingly pouring gas on the stage, and does the lighter, and then it just lights up these little side flames and then has that thing. I'm like, dude, if you're a real rebel, you're lighting it on fire, put real gas on the stage and light that thing on fire.
Yes.
I dislike that so much. I'm like, that's not showmanship. You didn't light the stage on fire. Be a real baller if you're gonna do something like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Does Taylor Swift use gasoline during her shows, Mitch?
I don't think she needs to.
Okay.
She doesn't have to.
She's already on fire.
All right.
Yeah, and it's but if you're gonna do and make this big show of I'm pouring gas on this stage, that needs to be real gas and it needs to be lit on fire. That's all I have to say on that.
Yeah, I'm here for that for sure. He is Mason Crosby. I'm Mitch Nelles, a.k.a. Thunder. And Ryan Rollins re-signed by our Milwaukee Bucks. 3 years, $12 million. They had offered him the whatever the qualifying deal was. Then they rescinded it to make sure all the financials worked for everybody else. They realized it worked. But in the meantime, Ryan Rollins, all of a sudden, interest in him throughout the league picked up. People are like, oh, this kid can play.
Yeah.
And then the Bucks do end up bringing him back. But I'm not sure if that was the dollar figure they were anticipating. And seeing what Kevin Porter Jr. signed and Gary Trent Jr. signed for, Ryan Rollins with a richer contract than a longer
12, right?
3 years, as opposed to they both got 2-year deals. It does solidify the backcourt, though. I mean, people think that Ryan Rollins, there's already scuttlebutt on the internet that people really want Porter Jr. coming off the bench and being that spark off the bench, and that Rollins really should be the starter coming in.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's what Camille Davis said last week. Mm-hmm. She was like, I think Ryan Rollins is still a very good, viable option to be that point guard and be the guy that, is unselfish, will let Giannis kind of do his thing, but whenever we need to have that point guard and that guy when Giannis isn't on the court, he can handle that and do the dirty work there. So. I think it still gives them an option if they want to go get a veteran, like an older guy. I think signing someone like Ryan Rollins just gives you that security. Yep. A young guy that's probably going to be okay playing more minutes, being out on the court a lot more, trying to be available. But yeah, I think it's a great signing and something I was reading. It's just they're building this roster as they're searching for these people, all these players. Yep. They got Miles Turner, who is an established veteran.
Absolutely.
Got that solidified. But now it's they're banking on upside. It's just
yes.
All right, let's get guys that we feel good about. We've seen them play. We're confident that they are quality players. Are they superstars yet? Not at all, but they are building something. So I'm all for it. I'm all for proven quality, and you're just hoping to see that next step. And that's what they're doing with Ryan Rollins, and I think it could be a really good choice there.
I wonder and I'm going to wonder this throughout this week as we watch what's happening in Phoenix. I do wonder if they're not making a move for Paul or Westbrook or any of the other guards because they are thinking about Bradley Beal. Because again, rumors continue to swirl around the Phoenix Suns that Beal will be bought out, which means that you can sign him to a minimum. And I don't know that, if you bring
guys that bounce around like that a lot, do they not concern you? Like,
so Beal's
why is he
Beal's
getting
only been
moved
on two
so
He's only
much,
been on
though?
two teams.
But why?
Like,
Why is he being
Washington.
moved right now? Like, is he?
You know what?
Is there something there, or is it just kind of like his?
I think
the situation is calling for
I
it?
think the situation.
Okay.
We don't know for sure, but I have to think that he was on Washington, and they had John Wall, who was a good point guard, and they were a great backcourt, and they made the playoffs. They just weren't great. They were good, and they lost to LeBron every year in Cleveland.
Sure.
And then Phoenix makes a deal for him, but they basically have Bradley Beal and Devin Booker who play the exact same position. They're kind of these hybrid 1-2s. They're not pure point guards, and they're basically shooting guards who like to get their shots. And it never worked. It's just listen. Sometimes you get traded to a position and it doesn't work. And I have no idea if it would work in Milwaukee, but I have to feel that again. Giannis's influence on a guy like Bradley Beal, even though Beal is probably a couple years older and he's been a 30-point a game scorer in this league. Yeah. But I feel like if he gets his head on straight for 2-3 years, that's a team that could really make a run. Now I don't know if his head might just be screwed off, it might not be screw-onable again.
Yeah.
But if it is, and again with a guy like Giannis and a guy like Miles Turner, who literally was just in the NBA Finals, who by all accounts is a good dude.
Seems like
a guy like Bobby Portis, who's Mr. Milwaukee and is so intense and isn't going to let you get away with whatever crap you could get away with in Phoenix, where Kevin Durant was not a hands-on leader. Devin Booker, not a hands-on leader.
For sure.
And so Bradley Beal could just kind of do whatever he wants. With Giannis and Bobby and Miles and the team, it might be a fit, especially if they don't really have to pay him because Phoenix is already paying him, so they can just pay him the veteran minimum.
Yeah, look what Jimmy Butler, did whenever he goes to the Warriors.
Right,
all of a sudden he's
different
just
guy, right?
A bought-in team guy. Everything was completely different. So culture matters, and the right spot for every player matters. Their talent is not usually a question. Once you get to this point. It is where you fit in, the type of culture, the type of locker room, the people that are around you that matter, and that's the biggest thing. I was talking the other day and about to a coach about that, and it's just that matters so much. They're saying I'd rather have a less talented player that will do all the right things because they are coachable. They're going to be in the right spot. They're going to do all the right things, and we're not going to have to worry about anything else. You don't have to worry, and so it's a hot crazy scale, and it always works. It always works.
Yeah, you're not wrong. He's Mason Crosby. I'm Mitch Nelles. It is time for Drew Wagner, Forbes Sports baseball insider for the Fan. We're going to talk about the series that was in Miami. We're going to talk about the series that will be here in Milwaukee as the Dodgers are in town. That reminds me, I need to get my press pass for Wednesday because, as you know, I'm the day game.
You love those day games.
I'm the whatever it's called, the day game reporter.
Aficionado.
Yes. Nicely done, Tommy. I'm the day game aficionado, so I got to get my press pass for Wednesday taken care of. Paging Sparky. I'll text him.
Are you listening?
Yeah, he probably is. He's Mason Crosby. I'm Mitch Nelles. Drew Wagner is next here on the Mason Crosby Show, presented by Verizon, the #1 network. Where?
Milwaukee.
What's the latest on the crew? Let's go inside the clubhouse with Drew Wagner of Forbes Sports on the Mason Crosby Show with Mitch Thunder Nelles. Brought to you by Verizon, the #1 network in Milwaukee on 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan. Inside the clubhouse is brought to you by Focus Baseball, because fundamental development starts with focus. Find them at focusbaseball.com.
Nothing better than letting the talent run the board. This is the Mason Crosby Show, presented by Verizon, and this is Inside the Clubhouse with Mr. Drew Wagner. Good morning, Drew.
As a journalist, I feel obligated to correct you. I am actually on my balcony enjoying my coffee because the clubhouse doesn't open for like another 6 hours.
What?
4 hours.
I just thought you had like a cot in the clubhouse and you just snuck in there at all hours and did what you needed to do.
What's going on over there, Thunder?
That'd be horrible. It's too bright in there now. They remodeled it during the off season.
That's fair.
I know they did not hire me to do the remodeling, so a little disappointed on that. But it's bright. Everything's very light and pleasant. And no, I like my cave, my fortress of dark.
You'd rather be on a darkness retreat with your good buddy Aaron Rodgers.
That's right.
I would do a darkness retreat. I actually would.
I do one every night, so I'm good. Just get a nap, get some sleep. It's perfect. But Drew, how was your weekend? How was your 4th of July? Did you have a good one?
It was fine. It was apparently in the suburbs. Everyone sets off fireworks. Which, don't get me wrong, I'm not against fireworks. I like them, and I think it's weak to go with a drone show instead. But I am very much against other people having joy and happiness. So, yeah.
You're against joy and happiness. I love that, Drew. You're one of my favorites. That's so great. Well,
He's just giggling because he's heard this shtick for 25 years.
I love that.
That's why I giggled.
Drew, so then joy and happiness, we watched the Brewers take 2 of 3 down there in Florida. We got Woodruff back on Sunday. Just kind of recap the weekend and what that road trip looked like down there against the Florida Marlins.
It was good. They won the series. You come back, you're still 4 games out. You're still within striking distance. You can't really dwell on it, but that last homestand, those missed opportunities, like I talked about last week, they're kind of hanging there because you had a chance to wipe out that deficit, and now you're, back down 4. And the Cubs are playing really, really good right now. 11-0 winner last night over the Cardinals. Now you got a tough one coming up with 3 against the Dodgers. It's an important series. Last weekend was good. Beating the Marlins, you got to do it. Getting Woody back in the box, that was a great day. Well, man, it's gonna be a hard one this week.
That's right. Yeah. So you mentioned Woody and Woodruff coming back. So what did you think about his outing, and what's kind of your expectation and excitement level for him being back in the rotation?
Well, it was just great to see. I mean, I've covered Woody since he's made his debut. He's probably one of the best pitchers the Brewers have ever had. He's also one of the best guys that the Brewers have ever had. I mean, there's no one that has anything, even me. There's nothing bad to say about Brandon Woodruff. He's a good guy. He's great to his teammates, great to the media, he's great to his wife and kids. He's just a good guy. But seeing him get back on the after all that he has done through, especially this year, it was really rewarding. There was a second there where, I was just watching the game and watching a good guy do something that not a lot of people expected him to do. That was a huge boost, I think, for that team. As for moving forward, it's hard to say what to expect. You'd like to see him keep going out and shoving like that, but it's not always that easy. We're going to see how it goes. He's still pitching with a reconstructed shoulder. He's got a bunch of minor league starts under his belt, so obviously he can handle the workload. But where's the velo at? Where are these secondary pitches at? How effective is he being? How efficient is he being? That's going to be the report card moving forward. That's what we're going to be watching.
Yeah, exactly. Drew Wagner, Forbes Sport, our Brewers insider. I was saying that earlier as we were kind of getting excited about him being back on the mound, that this next game is kind of going to be more of the measuring stick than that first outing. Like, how does he recover? What's his response? Just are we going to see all the movement and the great pitches that he has in his arsenal? Is that going to be able to carry forward? And obviously, I'm guessing the excitement, the energy level, all of that. I bet he was pretty sore today. So it's going to be just getting that back, getting that shoulder right, and getting the mind right of getting in a rhythm back with this team and being back in the major leagues. Throwing every 5 days. So is that kind of what you're looking at too? Like what does this next game look like, and where does that match up? So like 5 days, where will his next pitch be?
It'll be in Milwaukee. It'll be in Milwaukee.
Yeah. So then he gets to be home.
It'll be a little bit more hype. Yeah.
It'll be awesome.
Yeah. It'll be a good day. It'll be. I gotta look at the schedule and see exactly what day it is. I think they have the off day Thursday, so I'm guessing it'll be Friday or Saturday. Man, get a ticket and go see that, because Woody is he's a good dude. He's a good dude, and it's good to see him back on.
Man, he must be one of the best if Drew Wagner is giving him that much love.
So right now they don't have a starter listed for Saturday. Friday potentially is Priester. So if they wanted to give Woody a couple extra days again here, that would make sense to have him go on Saturday, but that's not set in stone.
That can change, but I would assume then that he'll go Saturday and give him that the off day and just bump everybody back a day.
Yep.
So, Drew, we talked about Chad Patrick getting moved down, and what that means. Obviously, don't want to necessarily see him back up in the lineup, in that bullpen, just because that means something happened with another one of the Brewers pitchers. But is your expectation that we're going to see Chad Patrick up in major leagues again at some point this season, or do you think he's probably going to spend the rest of this year down in the minors?
You kind of hit it. If he's coming back, that means somebody got hurt, or someone got traded, or someone is faltering, or something.
So it's not a good situation.
I think Chad Patrick is likely to finish the year at AAA, unless they decide to maybe move him into a bullpen role just to kind of conserve his innings in this year. Because listen, he's pitched a lot. I'm pretty sure that he's well over what he pitched last year, or close to it. And they're going to try and manage that, because he's established himself now as a big part of this team going forward. The future of this rotation is going to be Quinn Priester, Jacob Mizorowski, Chad Patrick, Logan Henderson. That's the rotation of the future. They're going to be very cautious with it.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. So, I don't know. For some reason, I have a funny question for you as I'm watching Wimbledon right now and watching Djokovic. Are you a tennis fan? Do you like watching tennis?
I've tried. I can't figure out the scoring. All those years in gym class, I like the grunting. I like that part of it.
I like the grunting.
I don't even know what any of that means.
So good.
Nailed it.
Yeah, the fake grunting is always a little funny, where it's like it feels like it's like 2 seconds after they hit the ball. But I found something interesting, and it's just has to do with sports. And Molly and my wife, were sitting here talking about it, because it was like Djokovic, for the first time ever, dropped a set 6-1. I don't know if that was first time ever at Wimbledon or ever in his career. So he drops that first set. He's now won the second, like the 2 next sets, and like he won a point. And Molly was just like, "Gosh, it's concerning. Like he's 34 like hits during this point." And she's just like, he's older, it's going to be tough. And like, but I saw his energy, and it was like, nope, he's about to win this match, because that just kind of fueled him. And it talks about, 2 athletes and how they view games and how they go through things. And so kind of as we are getting into the depths of this Brewers season, like who do you think on that roster kind of brings that juice, that energy, that focus for this Brewers team? Like who, obviously we know some of the leaders, but is there anyone in that clubhouse that is almost like a leader or has that fire that nobody really expects to have.
We've been discussing that all year long, because in the past it's been Willie Adopt, that he was always the energy guy.
Yeah.
It's got to be organic. I think Jackson Curio brings a lot of that energy. I think Freddie brings a lot of that energy. But we haven't really seen, who that quote unquote one guy is, who the energy guy is, who the spark plug is yet. And maybe they don't have that guy. Maybe it's just more of a communal thing. Not all teams have that one guy, because it's a very, very unique person that has that ability to bring that energy game in and game out.
For sure.
So I think it's more of like just an overall team. I don't think there's one guy that's the you-rah-rah guy. I think it's just the group as a whole that brings it every night.
Do they need a rah-rah-rah guy?
Yeah, I was going to ask that. Like, as in baseball,
like the way they had
especially
Willie. Like, do they need a guy who's should I volunteer to be a bench coach and just
be the hype man?
Yeah, be that hype man carrying the flag like I used to do at the Bradley Center for the Bucks?
I knew we were going to get a big flag reference.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did.
I don't know. I don't know if you really need that in baseball. I think it helps when you have it, but I really don't think baseball just isn't that kind of sport. I mean, it's a daily grind. It's a daily routine. It's great having a guy like that. He brings the temperature down, keeps everyone relaxed, but I think they do a good job of, it's not like they're sitting there falling asleep in the dugout between innings. So, I could easily fall asleep during the innings in the press box. Some of these things are grinders. I think the energy is there. I don't think that's an issue with it. I really don't.
For sure. They got youthful energy. They got the right combination. Yeah, I am curious, what kind of teams, end up winning World Series? Are they teams that have that combination of kind of that juice guy, the guy that's going to keep it light in the clubhouse through this, grind of 162 games, and that serious, focused leader that's just saying all right, guys, let's get back to work. So, I would assume that's kind of the, that's always a good recipe for success in any sport. But let me ask you, because we talked about this earlier as well. What do you think about the All-Star game and the rosters? Is there anyone on this Brewers team that you think got snubbed and should have had consideration to be on that roster?
I mean, I think I think Frelick probably had a case to be made. There's a lot of good outfielders, though. I don't think there are any egregious snubs. The Brewers have a lot of good players. Do they have a lot of all-stars? Probably not. I think you'll see more guys sneak in there as others start to fall out or have injuries or this or that. The baseball all-star game is always so hard. I mean, it's such a popularity contest. It kind of defies logic sometimes. But I think they got it right by picking Freddie. And I think that was a good way to go. I think as we get closer to the game, you might see other guys get a look. And again, I'm looking at Frelick as probably a top candidate, maybe Bryce Terang.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yep. Drew Wagner, our Milwaukee baseball insider, joining us here on the Mason Crosby Show, presented by Verizon, the #1 network in Milwaukee. Certainly so much, and we know what the challenge is going to be this week with the Dodgers in town. So much is made of Mizorowski Kershaw tomorrow night that I'm guessing a lot of casual fans are skipping over. Yamamoto Peralta is a pretty big deal tonight. Those are two very, very good pitchers. I'm guessing you very infrequently see Freddie Peralta as an underdog at home. That's how good the Dodgers and that's how good Yamamoto has been. What do you see from this matchup and from the matchup, from the matchup with the Dodgers moving forward, knowing that next week, a week from today, the Brewers will be in LA facing the Dodgers again?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a good matchup. And it's going to be a good test. Listen, man, the Dodgers are good, and this is going to be a hard stretch of schedule. Why the Brewers had to make the most out of the run that they just had. It's going to be tough. That's the best way to say it. But I'm with you, and I'm really excited to see Yamamoto and Peralta go toe-to-toe. Hopefully we get the good, efficient, effective Peralta and, works deep into a game for a change. But that is a sneaky sleeper in this series.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, do you think that's kind of where we're at in the season? Some of these starters might start trying to are they going to let them go a little deeper into games? Get an extra inning or two just to grind it out, or are we still at a point where it's like, all right, let's get our good 5 and then expect the bullpen to come in and clean everything up?
I don't see much changing in terms of philosophy because they're just going to go by how stressful those innings are, how stressful the pitchings are, how effective he's being. If Freddie is at 88 pitches going and we're through 5, I doubt they're bringing him
just
back.
Shutting them down.
Yeah. I just it doesn't really behoove anybody. Would you rather have a guy who's throwing his last 20 pitches or a guy who's just coming out there? It'd be nice if you could cruise through. If you can cruise through 5 innings on 50-some pitches and go deep, but the pitcher dictates that. With a lot of these veteran guys, they'll dictate it. If he's pitching through traffic a lot, if he's pitching with guys on a lot, those are stressful innings. They might at that point just say, "All right, time to make a switch." I mean, Freddie's got to come out and be on the attack. He can't nibble. When Freddie nibbles, that's when he gets into trouble. That's when he's walking guys. That's when his pitch count starts going up. So guys are fouling stuff off left and right and jacking pitch count up. He's got to be on the attack from pitch number 1. He's got to be pounding the zone and getting guys out. That's how Freddie has to go to work deep in the games.
I love that. Big fish, not a little minnow. I totally understand that. So my last question before we let you go, Drew, is we were talking about Jackson Chourio. He was batting in the 4 spot yesterday. Had a solid outing. Where do you think he fits best? In that lineup, do you like him in that 4 spot? Because they've been moving him around quite a bit. So where do you think his best spot is?
I think they're still figuring that out. He's still a young guy. He's still figuring out who he is as a baseball player. I like putting him, down in the cleanup spot as a chance to drive in some runs and have some success with it, because especially with Rhys Hoskins out, you're kind of low on guys that can do damage. So I think that makes sense from that perspective. But I think they're still trying to figure out where the best spot is for him.
Totally agree. All right, Drew Wagner, Forbes Sports, our Milwaukee baseball insider. Really appreciate you jumping on, Drew. Glad you had a good weekend, and we'll catch you again on Thursday.
Sounds good, boys. You take care.
All right.
Thank you, Drew. That's Drew Wagner. Again, as Mason mentioned, our Milwaukee baseball insider. And, I think it's going to be – I'm excited for the Dodgers. 6 of the next 9 are against the Dodgers. They've got 3 at home against the Dodgers, then a day off on Thursday. Friday, the Brewers will host the Nationals, who just fired everybody, by the way.
Yeah,
the Nationals just cleaned house.
That was crazy.
So hopefully, the Brewers, whatever they do against the Dodgers, can at least win 2 out of 3, if not sweep the Nationals. But then they go straight back out to L.A. So 6 of the next 9 games against the Dodgers will be a very nice test. The Dodgers with the best record in the National League, 1 game behind Detroit for the best record in all of Major League Baseball. Like that's what we're here for, right? Like, what are we doing if we don't want to test ourselves against the best, Mason?
That's all we want. And hey, I did, and I wasn't my best just now because I did not say thanks to Drew Wagner for joining us on the Fan Guest Hotline, powered by Gruber Law. 1 call, that's all. Yeah,
that's
I
right.
I jumped the gun there. I tried to close it out, and I just, I missed a pitch there. I missed one.
You know what? It happens. But you reset yourself. You stepped out of the batter's box. You took a deep breath, and you got right back in there, Mason
and then
Crosby.
I hit a home run.
Yeah, you did, and that's why we all we all love you and know we can count on you.
Thank you.
Speaking of love, we're going to talk Karen Crosby when we come back.
Ooh.
We're going to talk about festivities at the Crosby compound. We're going to talk about the best thing you ate all weekend because we got asked the food question, right?
Yeah.
And we'll talk a little U.S. men's national team, a little SOCCER, because we're American and we call it soccer.
That's right. Only soccer in America.
That's right. He's Mason Crosby. I'm Mitch Nelles. The Mason Crosby Show is presented by Verizon, the #1 network in Milwaukee. Soccer USA. Next.
I think days like today make you want to strive to win even more trophies. You know, I think sometimes you have to let the hurt kind of fuel you, and it sucks seeing another team kind of take the trophy that you wanted to get. But regardless, I know that in the future we're not going to lose many more finals. So
That's Chris Richards from the U.S. men's national team, who also had some pointed comments, as did the coach, about the refereeing in the game, the 2-1 loss to Mexico last night in the Gold Cup game. U.S. men's national team. This is the Mason Crosby Show, presented by Verizon, the number one network in Milwaukee. I'm Mitch Nelles, a.k.a. Thunder. Mason, I know the family was gathered around last night to watch that game. Before we get to your reaction to the game, we've got Ken in the Falls on the Nicolay Law Fan Talking text line 414-677-1250. That's 414-677-1250. Ken, you're on the Mason Crosby Show.
Hey, good morning, gentlemen. How's it going? I hope you had a great 4th of July weekend, as I did, spending it up in the North Woods.
Nice,
So
Ken.
Nicely done. Humble brag. Nice.
Yeah, I had to. When you were catching the size of smallmouth bass that I was catching this weekend, you would be bragging as well.
Oh, heck yeah.
But I wanted to actually talk a little Brewers for your last segment before you get to the
Sure, go
soccer
for it.
aspect.
Yeah,
For
go
sure.
for it, Ken.
We're always on it.
You know, you look at this Brewer team and what they've done. The pitching is phenomenal. Probably one of the best pitching staffs in the MLB right now. And if they can add a bat or two bats to this young group, you bring in a couple of veterans like a Ryan O'Hearn or maybe a Eugenio Suarez or whoever it's going to be. There's guys out there. You know, I hear a lot of talk when they go, oh, well, you know, this team isn't going to spend money. They don't do this. They don't do that. In fact, under Matt Arnold, they do just that. They make moves that people just did not see coming, and they get players. As an example, like look what happened in the offseason, you know, with the acquisitions of the pitchers that we got. So when you look at some of these things that are coming down the pipe with this team, that is definitely a playoff team, and they're eventually going to make their way in the first place in the Central. You cannot not go and get yourself some veteran offense. And with that being said, you can still continue to keep your young guys in. When you were talking about Jackson Cheerio, the luxury they have with Cheerios, you can put him anywhere in the lineup. That would be a great guy to bring up your lineup back to the top of the order. And Murph knows it. He's got so many options with these guys, the Durbins and Collins and several of these other young players, that the team as a whole has tremendous upswing. And don't be a bit surprised within the next couple of weeks after the All-Star break if they're not in first place and the Cubs chase them for the rest of the season.
Ooh, Ken, I love the optimism.
I'll take it, Ken. Thanks for the call.
Thank you, Ken.
How about that, Mason?
Yeah,
let's go on a run and have the Cubs looking up at us.
I'm all for that. I think if they overtake the Cubs, I think that would be the time where you go and maybe add a player. Go find somebody that can just kind of shore up or help support this lineup. I don't think Ken's far off there. I do think they have an uphill climb. Cubs are not going to falter too much,
right?
So you're going to have to tick away at that lead as it comes available, and that's where Drew mentioned last week. I think it was last week where he was upset. Where they lost a game where the Cubs lost as well. It's like
the Brewers had a chance to gain
the Brewers,
game.
Yeah, it's like just you got to find ways to gain on the Cubs, and that's going to be the toughest part, right? Unless the Cubs just really find a slump. It's going to be up to the Brewers to keep winning, not expecting the Cubs to kind of fall off here.
And one of the issues there is that it used to be a much more unbalanced schedule where you'd play the teams in your division a lot more than you do now.
Yeah,
which unfortunately,
so you don't get to kind of right that ship as quickly. Yeah,
yeah, like they'll have the opportunity to jump on the. By the way, I said 6 of the next 9 days. I meant 6 of the next 9 games because, of course, there's the All-Star break after they host Washington this weekend.
Yeah.
So it's not 6 of the next 9 days against L.A. It's 6. They play 3 against the Dodgers, then 3 against Washington, then the All-Star break, then they start the second half of the season after the All-Star break in Los Angeles. They've got 3 against Chicago at the end of July. They've got 5 at Chicago in August. Remember, there was a rain delay, but that's it. Like they don't play Chicago at all in September, and so they won't.
Which is crazy.
They won't have a way
be able to knock them down.
Exactly, they won't have a way to really make hay They get St. Louis 6 times in September, so they'll be able to finally put them out of their misery.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, but
just keep them behind them in the rearview mirror. But I do like that, Ken. I do think that they should add a piece or two if they either overtake the Cubs or if they're just right there on their doorstep. That could be an opportunity to go and just kind of seal that deal and go chase them down.
Speaking of misery, and I don't know if that's the right word. Is there misery for the U.S. men's national team? Because I've read like 3 or 4 articles between last night and this morning, and some are very positive. That hey, they had like 6 guys who normally play on this team who weren't there, and that the fact that they got to this game, it shows that they got over that 4-game slump they had when they had lost those 4 friendlies in a row earlier this year. But then there's others where it's like, you're playing in the United States, and it's just more of the same. It's lip service, but you're still not getting the wins.
Yeah, I think it's. Yeah, you're going to see both sides, but I think there has to be some positive in the fact that 6 of your best players were not available for this Gold Cup, and you made a finals and you lost 2-1 against a full Mexican team. I mean, they had everybody. You didn't have our top goal scorers this whole tournament, and Pulisic and Pepe. You didn't have the dominant midfielders in McKinney. You had Tyler Adams, but he's kind of had some injuries and he's kind of figuring his way back into shape. You didn't have your right and your left back. I mean, Serginho Dest and Antonio Robinson, Jedi Robinson, were not available for this.
Okay.
So, you have a depleted roster in a sense. I say that lightly because we put a good lineup out there day in and day out for this Gold Cup, and it was an opportunity for a lot of these younger players or players that are trying to prove that they have a place on this roster come World Cup time. The concern I have with the U.S. men's national team is that they don't have to qualify for this World Cup. So they don't have to go through that grind of getting through the CONCACAF, whatever it is. It's a circle. It's like this weird thing that they how they set it up and how the system is to qualify for the World Cup. But they don't have to qualify. Mexico, U.S., and Canada are automatically qualified because they're hosting the World Cup.
Right.
So some of that concerns me. They won't play a fully hardcore competitive game until next summer, until the opening game of the World Cup.
They'll play all sorts of friendlies,
sure,
but it's not the same.
And who knows? That could be a positive as well. You just never know. As whoever they schedule, they could schedule some tougher matches that aren't just scheduled through the qualifying process. So they could go and play some European teams. They could play,
which they should if they're smart,
some teams all around the world, just to really see where they match up. In international soccer at the moment.
Go play a doubleheader against Colombia and Brazil, and then the next day play France and Spain. Just
play as many games as possible.
Yeah, just get all the games. All right, so let's get back to CONCACAF and to this game last night. Because I know we played some sound from Chris Richards about we're going to win some tournaments and we're frustrated. There was another comment from him where he talked about that the refereeing was clearly against them and CONCACAF hates the United States. Does CONCACAF hate the United States?
There's always been a piece of that. I think that's always been kind of some of the storyline around the U.S. men's national team and qualifying and playing in these games. And it's crazy whenever you have to go play in a country that is, the field conditions are bad. You don't know what the refereing's going to be. They've been in those situations before.
Yep.
I look at the game last night, and I do think Mexico on the night last night they were the better team. They dominated possession. They looked great. Jimenez just is a goal scorer, just a dominant presence at the top of that Mexico line.
Okay.
So if I look at the game and it's as a realistic person, not just I want USA to win at all costs all the time. Mexico was the better team on the pitch last night. So. I will say, there was a blatant handball in the box. I mean, the guy dribbled the ball. like with his hand. Was it a scoring opportunity? Not necessarily, but is that the point of a handball? Like, I mean, the guy put his hand on the ball and controlled it.
Right.
You know, you just never know what's going to happen in that situation.
You can't do.
You just can't do it.
I feel like that's against the rules.
I do believe that's an infraction.
I don't know much about soccer, but I feel like you learn when you're 4 years old.
You can't touch
unless you're
the
hands.
goalie.
Right. Yeah. Right.
But I will say when you watch it and you slow it down, like I do think that like some places in the rule book there is like, was he intentional? Like he was going to brace himself on the ground and the ball got in the way.
Okay.
So as a USA fan, I'm like, call it. As a fan, just watching soccer, I'm like, he didn't intentionally just like stop the ball from moving forward with his hand.
Right.
Like it looked like he was going to brace himself, hand lands on the ball. Kind of an unfortunate thing. Could have called it if they wanted to. The offsides deal, I know there's a back and forth where their second goal for Mexico, it was a deflected ball. And unfortunately, our guy, Antonio Freeman's son, is who held him on.
Oh,
so yeah, he drifted a little bit out of position where they were holding a high line, and he drifted back and he held the guy behind him on Alvarez to allow that second goal.
How great would it have been if Free had just picked up the ball and just run down the sideline and for the touchdown?
That would have been great. Just tuck it under the arm and go.
Just go. Yep.
Yeah, so and I was talking to so actually it was funny this morning. Walker Zimmerman, center back for Nashville SC, was on the roster. Didn't play as much as he usually does in this Gold Cup. You know, I was just asked him about it, and he just said, "Yeah, man, it was brutal. It's never fun losing in the finals." And then it's just he's just like it's a long hard month, of kind of that grind and going through this Gold Cup process. And especially whenever it's like you're practicing, you're going through these, and if you're not, getting a ton of playing time. So, he invited me to a cornhole tournament in September. So
really?
I'm definitely going to have to do that.
How's your cornhole game?
I mean, it's strong quite strong.
How's Nolan's?
Yeah. Nolan's pretty good.
I was going to say, like, I could see you and Nolan being a pretty good.
Yeah.
Tommy.
Would be a good team.
How's your cornhole game?
I mean, I think I'm all right. Yeah, I mean, not anything to write home about. I wouldn't.
Not as good as cribbage.
So you're not. You're not. Because I was going to say me and you versus Nolan and Mason, but it sounds like you're not the guy I want.
No, I mean, if I'm competing against Mason, I'm better than him. It doesn't matter what it is. I'll find a way.
Wow.
So that I'm fine with.
Okay.
I'll figure it out.
Yes.
I mean, I feel like I have an advantage because I'll have a beer in my hand and Nolan won't. So you automatically play better with a beer in your hand.
It is a balance thing. Yeah, exactly.
So a couple of years ago, I was in a cornhole tournament at a job I had with my friends up at Capco, which is metal stamping up in Grafton. They do a bunch of sports sponsorships around the community, and there was like a guy who coaches his kids basketball.
Okay.
Up in Cedarburg, and so and so like I teamed up with him. I'm like, you're an athlete, you play hoops, like
sure,
we're gonna be great.
Not so great.
Not so great.
Not so fast, my friend.
I feel like athleticism is the last thing you're looking for.
Whenever you watch these cornhole competitions, I'm not like really seeing athletes.
No, but like I feel like if you know what you're like, if you
should have touch. You should have hand-eye coordination.
I felt like he had those things.
Yeah,
and
I'm a numbers guy.
Go the way we got knocked out in the first round, and I was just
I score a lot.
Not happy.
I'm just hitting the board. Yep. I'm trying to knock a few in, but it's like I'm just always gonna stick around.
You know what, Tommy?
I'm not gonna miss the board.
Tommy, I love you. You're great,
but you're not gonna beat me at corner.
But I think it's me and Hallie. Hallie, who had
dropped Tommy already.
She's really good.
Tommy, I'll take you with that beer in your hand. I'll take you on my team.
It was her birthday yesterday, Mace. Yesterday, we now have a 15-year-old in the house.
Ooh, happy birthday!
Yeah, so happy birthday to Big Rumble. But it was I think it's Thunder and Big Rumble against the Crosbys.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I'll take Nolan all day, but if Tommy's available. And,
now you're taking Tommy.
No, I mean, I'll take Tommy.
You know what? I'll give her a Big Rumble. I'll take Nolan. How about Thunder and Nolan?
You know what? You know what's happening or not happening in cornhole that puts me in my favor is there's no running. Like again, you're talking about a sport where I don't have to run.
We've talked about this, yeah.
I like my chances.
Or kicking. There's also no kicking.
Let me talk. This is a good segue for something I wanted to talk about, and we had on the rundown. And we're talking about cornhole. We're talking about athletes like Joey Chestnut, in the hot dogging. Like, is Joey Chestnut considered an athlete? Is he considered? Is that a sport?
Nope.
Eating like that?
Nope.
Remember what was the other guy? The guy was shredded.
Matsuyama.
No, not at all.
Wasn't
Not
there?
at all.
Wasn't there a
That was
Japanese guy who?
Yeah,
was really
but it
good at
wasn't Matsuzuki at all.
One sec. I'll find it.
Find it up, because remember, like, his abs, and he would get shredded. Like, he was
Kobayashi.
Kobayashi, right.
Kobayashi, yeah. And his stomach would just expand. Like, and it was crazy. But I was looking at these Joey Chestnut things, because we're talking about cornhole, talking about eating contests, like, non-sports in a sense. Apple pie eating, like, all the records he has.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to decide what is the craziest and worst, because honestly, the hot dog record, it's like, okay, I get that one and all that. Gumbo, 15, 16-ounce bowls. I think Mitch could compete in that one.
I would love it. I would love it.
Guy.
I do love gumbo.
Yeah. I love this HEB True Texas beef brisket barbecue sandwiches.
Oh, yes,
He
please.
ate 27 in 10 minutes.
All the num-nums.
He ate 103 Crystal's hamburgers in 8 minutes. That is insane.
I have seen him in action. He came to the Burrito World Eating Championships a couple of years ago, maybe, and he ate like 14 pounds of burrito in 10 minutes. And it's
crazy.
It's crazy to watch, and it's
you
also
have to work at that. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's a sport, but it's just like the horse racing and all of that. I mean, it's
the other one that was really
It's
impressive over the weekend at the 4th of July Coney hot dog eating contest. They did the lemonade chug. Did you see that one?
Oh, no, that one's rough.
Eric Badlands Booker chugged a gallon of lemonade in like 20 seconds. It's the new record.
No reversal?
No, I mean, he just 20 seconds, a gallon. I mean, it's a massive jug of lemonade.
That is ridiculous.
That he then chugged in a gallon. I don't know if you can do that with literally anything. I didn't think that was humanly possible.
Yeah, like water. That would be tough.
That would mess you up for sure, too. It would not feel great. And then he lets out like the longest burp ever after. That's like his whole thing.
I love it.
Like Booger.
Right.
Revenge of the Nerds.
Yeah, I just think
remember, I told y'all about the kolaches down there in Texas.
Yeah,
so,
did you crush?
No, Joey Chestnut has a kolache factory kolaches record, 56 in 8 minutes.
How many could you eat in 8 minutes, Mason?
Oh gosh, I could. I mean,
you could eat one a minute.
Yeah, I could probably throw down
if you needed to.
8 to 10.
I don't know if I've had 70 hot dogs in the last 10 years of my life, let alone in 10 minutes.
Would you say the competition was a little weak this year, though? I mean,
like
he did
nobody's
70.
even close.
Second place was like 40.
How's nobody close at this point?
Because that's not human. He
All
ate
right, so
70 hot dogs.
There's got to be more than one person who's not human.
No. This guy wins the competition every year.
I know.
Yeah,
the only year he doesn't
Lame.
win it is when he's not in it. So, I mean, you
lame.
want to talk about dominance in an activity. Yeah, he's near the top of the list.
This
anyone.
one's like tamales and 102 in 12 minutes. Because think about that, like the corn and all that, like just like the expand, like how much that would fill your stomach. Like just to get 102 of those in there just doesn't even make sense.
Yeah, just not. Can't even
expansion.
imagine.
All right, well, I'm hungry now. That's for sure.
I would definitely go to Costco and get a hot dog right now. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, how many of those hot dogs could you eat?
Let's go.
That's what they need a Costco hot dog
Costco
challenge.
needs to be the sponsor.
Yeah.
Exactly. He is Tommy Wirtz. Mason Crosby is here. My name's Mitch Nelles, a.k.a. Thunder. We are the Mason Crosby Show, powered by Verizon, the #1 network in Milwaukee. We're in the fan studios, presented by Potawatomi Sportsbook. And we've got Mason's extra points and all the family explosions. Like the good ones. Not fights, not explosions. I mean the Green Army guys.
We're not airing out grievances.
No. The Green Army guys winning the war.
That's right.
On the 4th of July. Coming up, it's the Mason Crosby Show.
What's on Mason Crosby's mind today? It's time for Extra Points, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook on the Mason Crosby Show with Mitch Nelles on 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan.
Oh, guys, I'm happy to be here, but Vacation Mason is getting a little tinge as I'm watching Wimbledon because we couldn't go on this trip, but Jordy and Emily Nelson and the Cobbs are going to be watching as Djokovic is about to close out this match. They're going to be watching him in the quarterfinals on Wednesday.
He was just down 4-1 in the fourth set, and now he's up 5-4. Unbelievable.
We were supposed to go on that trip, and then they're going to head to Scotland and play golf. So I'm a little jealous right now.
Yeah, you should be.
But I get 3 days here this week, and then I'm off on another vacation.
I guess you should have been a wide receiver, bro.
I should have.
Yeah,
I should have. But it's awesome. It's another great Monday. And again, as we said at the beginning of the show, our thoughts and prayers are with those in Texas who are affected by the flooding coming from there this weekend after being there last week for the 4th of July. Just devastated at what's going on there. And, again, appreciation to the first responders, the people showing up and running into the trouble and helping those in need. So just continue to support, whether it's money, whether it is just, thoughts and prayers, sending that direction. It's much appreciated. Again, another great week of sports. Another, a lot of stuff is going to be on our docket. We're going to have some great guests, so do not miss. As I will be here until Wednesday, and then the boys will be holding it down for a couple days while I'm out of town. Let's just call them sick days.
Yeah, there you go.
They're just sick days.
Mason, best thing you ate?
Best thing I ate. Gosh, we. I don't know. There's hot dogs and hamburgers on the 4th of July. There's just something about it. My dad grilling out there. We were crushing it. The rain was pouring. It was pretty epic. So and then the kolaches. I mean, those kolaches from West.
They were as remembered.
So amazing. Good. Yeah. You get a little jalapeno in there as well, and there's not much better.
I love it. Good job.
All right, guys. Well, we'll do it again tomorrow.
Yes, sir. He's Mason Crosby. I'm Mitch Nelles. Tommy Wirtz is here as well. And remember, it's the Mason Crosby Show every day, Monday through Friday, 9 to 11, presented by Verizon, Milwaukee's #1 network. We're in the Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. We'll be back tomorrow. Let's go.
Yep. Check us out on YouTube as well. Woo!